This tutorial is going to show you how to create a link in a web document that passes a parameter through the hyperlink. So we want to accomplish two things here. We want there to be a link in our list of data that will pass a value from one item in the list to the next web page that we call. So we see here, this is on the Super Globals page of the PHP tutorial on w3schools.com. And we can see here they give us the example of how to create the link. So we're going to create an A tag with an href. Our reference is going to be the page name that we want to go to when we click the link, followed by a question mark, and then followed by a variable name. So it has to be a valid PHP variable name, equals, and then the value that we want to pass. Now, since this value is going to be passed as part of a URL, the characters that we use for the value can be any characters that are valid in a web URL. So we have to avoid things that are used like the question mark, the equal sign, the ampersand that goes between multiple variables, obviously double quote marks that are used at the end. So we want to avoid those types of characters, but anything else, letters, numbers, lowercase letters, periods are okay. Things like that, any value like that, we can pass as part of the URL. So we can see we're just typing in basically a web link. So let's go to our document. So here's the table we've created, and let's say what we want to do is we want to make this customer ID over here be a link that will take us to a page to give us more detail about that particular customer. So if we click on the dynamic text to highlight it, we can see now that line 99 here in our text is highlighted, and the text that is that dynamic field, the PHP command, is also highlighted. So we want the output that's going to be generated by this PHP command. Okay, so we want all of this text that's being generated by the PHP echo command to be what's inside our hyperlink. So we'll go to the beginning of that spot and put in our opening A tag, and href equals double quote to start our href. And now this is where we want to put the page name that we're going to. So this would be a customer detail page, so we'll call it customer detail.php, and it has to be a PHP page if we're going to decipher the variable. Okay, question mark, and then after the question mark comes our list of variables that we want to pass. In this case, we're just going to pass one variable, the customer ID. So I'm going to name it customer ID, just like we have it named in the database, equals, and now after the equal sign, I'm going to want the value for the customer ID to appear. Well, we have that value right here as this PHP code that we're printing out. So I'm going to make a copy of this and duplicate it right in that same spot. Okay, now that I have a copy in there. Then I am going to do a double quote to close my href, and I'm going to do a right pointy bracket, a greater than sign, to close my href. Okay, then this second chunk of PHP code is what's actually going to print the customer ID as part of the table. And then I want to come after that and put my tag to close the A tag. And you can see when I did the slash, then Dreamweaver knew that I had an A tag open, so it automatically put the closing A tag for me there to save that. So now if I go through and I do File, Save to save my document, and we'll go to a page to test. DB Tools Test. Now we can see that every one of my customer IDs appears as a link, and if I hover over the link, if you look down in the bottom left of the page, you can see the URL formed where it says customerdetail.php and customer ID equals ALFAA, which is the same as the customer ID that's displayed. Okay. Now, sometimes since the company name and the customer ID go together, it would also be nice to make the company name be a link that could take you to the customer ID. So we could also do that fairly quickly by taking all of this href, the A tag for the customer ID. You can grab that and copy it, and then just go down in front of the company name field and paste that in. And then after the company name, we can do end the A tag and then save that. File, save. Go back to our web page, refresh, and you can see now the company name is hyperlinked. And if you look at the URL that's displayed in the bottom left hand side, you can see that the hyperlink shows the same customer ID as the customer ID over here on the left hand side. So that's how you can get that linked. Now, the final thing is we need a page that will catch that and do something with that value. So we'll come over here and I'll go to the top of my pages, right click, pick new file, and I called the page customer detail.php. Alright, so we've got our customer detail file. I'm going to go ahead and open this, and I'm just going to do a simple thing here. I just want to go inside the body of my message, and I'm going to want to print out the value that we get from there. So we're going to go under Insert, and we can go under PHP stuff, and I want to print out a URL variable. And so there's the get, and then I called the variable customer ID. So that's what I'm going to type inside there. and I want to print this out, so I'm going to put an echo in front of that so that it echoes it out. And I can do File, Save. So now that page is saved. And if I go back to my browser window now if I click on one of these pages, then I can see when I go to the customer detail.php page for customer ID ALFAA, then sure enough that page prints ALFAA.